Hey everybody, welcome to the MGF Podcast. This is episode 6 of the Nameless Show, where we talk movies, comics, not comics, but movies and games and Lego and all of the things. Joining me is Tait.
What's up, guys? How's everybody doing?
See, Tait, that's what happens when I don't have the script.
You know
Um,
what? We're never scripted anyway besides the intro, so
yeah.
let's just jump into it, as my boy Philip DeFranco says. Star Wars Celebration 2019.
Yeah. So, Star Wars Celebration 2019 was a thing that happened in Chicago, and man, I was just like not prepared for it, but it still went off super well. And even though we weren't ready, it was an amazing time, all 5 days. And oh my God, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, for anybody who's never been to Celebration, it is basically the Star Wars event. It is the biggest Star Wars event that there is. And it happens typically every year, but last year, 2018, was the first year where they actually skipped one. And there was no Celebration in 2018. But this time, they came back after Orlando, which I was also there for with a bunch of friends. Greatest, one of the greatest experiences of my life. And then it's back again in Chicago now in 2019. And man, you have everybody there. You have so many guests, so many panels, so many things to do, so much coordination. It is just the greatest experience you could probably have in person with anyone as a Star Wars fan. You are just in a building with thousands of other Star Wars fans who love the franchise just as much as you. I mean, it was just nuts. Every second of it was just like, you just have to take it in a lot of the time. Even if you didn't get into certain panels, or even if, you didn't get to do everything you got to do, it's still just a really crazy atmosphere and a really crazy environment to be a part of. And so we did a lot of planning leading up to Celebration. I mean, a lot. And this conversation, this part of the podcast is going to be like somewhat one-sided because Tait wasn't actually there, and this is also going to be my first time telling Tait about it. But yeah, so we did a lot of coordinating, because what happened in Orlando, to get into the big 40th anniversary panel and the big Last Jedi panel, to see, George Lucas and John Williams, Harrison Ford, all those people up on stage, and Ryan Johnson show us the trailer with the cast for the Last Jedi panel, all that stuff. To get into those rooms, you had to be there the night before, like the afternoon before, and sleep on the floor. And it was great because we managed to pull it off in 2017. But this time, for Star Wars Celebration Chicago, they introduced a lottery system. So they broke it up essentially into two separate categories. You had a big lottery for the big morning panels. So Episode 9, Galaxy's Edge, The Mandalorian, and The Phantom Menace 20th anniversary. You had to win access to those panels through a randomly selected lottery this time, which we had a big problem with at first, because that sounded like it meant some of us would win and others wouldn't, and then we would all be going in like by ourselves, or it would be getting broken up, and that sounded awful because obviously none of us wanted to go in without the other. And so then they announced group codes, and it was great because then we just used those. And so if we won, then whoever else was on our ticket won, and it was fine. But then they also announced this panel reservation system, which was crazy, because then every other panel, so like the Clone Wars, and literally every other panel that wasn't a high, quote unquote, in demand panel that took place throughout the event, you had to get access to through a panel reservation system, which was separate from the main lottery for the big morning panels. And so essentially, we were coordinating all this before going to the event. And so it was a lot of coordination leading up. And then when we actually got there, it all went off pretty well for the most part. But the panel reservation system did not ultimately work. And so it was kind of crazy how he somehow still managed to get into the Clone Wars panel. But man, just there's so much that happened. Like, I don't even know how to categorize this in my brain, let alone actually convey it to all of you. So, I mean, I think I'll just start off with the panels that we got into. So we actually won. We did not win entry into the Episode 9 panel. So that was the one panel we were not at. that and, a couple others. But that was the big one that obviously everybody wanted to get into. Personally, I didn't necessarily care too much, considering I'm still very offish because of The Last Jedi, and I'm more than happy to support them, but I wasn't exactly, I was happy to for that win to go to somebody else more passionate about the sequel trilogy than I was. But still disappointing for a couple friends, but it wound up working itself out in the end, because even after we because like essentially what happened on this was Friday, so not a whole lot happened on the first day, Thursday. It was kind of a settling in day. It was just kind of a prep day, go around, buy whatever you want. I think I had like an autograph session with James Arnold Taylor. I caught up with a Star Wars Theory and Star Wars Explained on that day, on the first day, so that was cool. But the second day, man, with the episode 9 trailer, I knew that after Orlando, it seemed that in Orlando they followed this system with the major panels, and we didn't know this 2 years ago at that one, that after the major panels, they go to the stage, on the Star Wars show stage, after they get off the stage from the panel. And so they'll go to the Star Wars show stage that's actually on the show floor. And if you're just in the area, you can see whoever's on the stage. You're right there. And so I was like, okay, Joe, Nick, Andrew, so the goal is, because we didn't get into the episode 9 panel, what we're going to do is we're going to watch the stream at the Star Wars show stage and just try to get to that stage and get as close as we can, as early as we can, once those doors open. And so that's what we did. But then we got through the episode 9 panel. It was really great. We saw them all through the stream, and Stephen Colbert and JJ and the cast, and talking about the movie. And then we got the trailer, and they revealed, we had the Palpatine reveal, the Rise of Skywalker. We saw the Carrie Fisher footage. All that stuff happened, and then they never came out. They never actually came out on the Star Wars show stage. We knew they'd be busy with interviews and photo shoots in the background, after and in backstage, but they never actually came out. And we had a photo op to get to with Sam Witwer at 12:30 that we actually wound up missing because we were sticking around waiting to see what would happen after the panel. And so I go off for the rest of the day. I'm online to get, I think it was Ashley Eckstein's autograph that day or something. And, I was gone for several hours, and then eventually I make my way back to that area, and I catch up with Battlefront updates, catch up with Ben Walk. If you guys don't know, works on Battlefront 2. That was really cool. And I call up Joe, and he tells me that he actually never left the stage, and that he and his fiance Madison had just been standing there ever since the episode 9 panel. So that meant at least 7 hours, 7 or 8 hours that they have been standing there. I don't know how they did it. But as we're standing there, and as I'm kind of, slowly trying to find Joe in the crowd, I have a rough idea of where he is, but not really. We managed to see the entire cast of episode 9 right there on stage in that moment, because I'm standing there, and then suddenly Andy Gutierrez goes, they are, let me, I'm pleased to introduce Kathleen Kennedy and Daisy Ridley. I was like, yo. And so we all just moved right up as close as we could to the Star Wars show stage. And dude, Tate, it was crazy, man, because you're 20 feet, not even, from Kathleen Kennedy, Daisy Ridley. You're making eye contact with them. You're closer to them right there than you are ever able to get at the panels. I mean, and then eventually J.J. Abrams and Kelly Marie Tran come out, and they do their interview. John Boyega comes out, Oscar Isaac, and I think her name is Naomi Aki. She comes out, the two of them. It was just surreal. That was a huge highlight from Celebration for sure, because even going to Orlando and camping out overnight on the floor, at no point were we ever able to get that close to them, even putting in maximum effort. So to just kind of be standing there coincidentally, and it was crazy, man. It really made up for not being able to get into the episode 9 panel, and so that was nuts. Obviously then Saturday there was a lot that happened throughout the event. We're doing all kinds of photo ops and autographs with various stars, and so on Saturday we had the big Clone Wars cast photo op, and it was nuts, man, because essentially what happened was our good friends Corey and Nabil were also with us, and Noah, and those guys from First Order Transmissions are so great. Some of the best guys I know. And they had the same Clone Wars cast photo op, the same group, same time, same session. And so we were like, oh, okay, cool. So we just kind of lined up together, and they were generous enough to let me hop in on their photo as well. And I was like, okay, cool. They had a slot open. They had a fourth person they could throw in. So they figured you get your Clone Wars cast photo op with Joe and Nick and Madison, and then just hop in ours. And I was like, okay, great. And I'll tell you, man, like it was kind of surreal to just like walk up on all of them, all seven of them, you know, seven of the major actors who are, you know, who are responsible for portraying the characters that you grew up with and had such a lasting impact on you. They're just all right there. It was just like, man, it was nuts. You know,
Yeah, no, that's insane to be that close to them, be talking with them.
yeah, I mean, it
I
only
mean,
lasts like a few seconds, especially in the photo ops. But I mean, it was so cool because it's like I had met several of them already. Like I met Matt Lanter when I was very young in like 2011. I met Ashley Eckstein several times, James Donald Taylor several times, D. Bradley Baker several times. But I mean, it was like to then have them all there, and then additionally Catherine Tabor, who voices Padme. Matthew Wood, such an incredible pioneer in sound design and the voice of General Grievous. He's been at Lucasfilm, I think, or it's like the last 20-25 years or something crazy. I mean, he worked on the Phantom Menace. I think that was like his first big major project with Lucasfilm. He's just been there ever since, just pioneering the work that they do, and it was really crazy, man. And then also Tom Kane was standing there. Of course, the narrator of the Clone Wars, the voice of Yoda, the voice of Admiral Yularen, and countless others. I mean, these are voice actors who do hundreds and hundreds of voices. And oh man, it was great, man. Because then as soon as we took the photo, I thought that our buddy again, Corey, Nabil, and the rest of them were right behind us, and that we would just just hop in on their photo like planned. But apparently, like a separate group actually got in between us in that moment, and I didn't know it. So like I'm like I turn around and I'm gonna walk back in and get in the photo with them now, and then I was like basically walking in on somebody else's photo, and I was
oh
like, oh,
jeez.
okay, crap. So I almost photobombed that, and I had to step back. I was like, okay, I did not know somebody got in between us. And so then they take their photo, and it was great. And then I hop back in, and dude, I'm still like freaking out, like just trying to thank them for all the work they do. They're all amazing. Trying to also smile and not ruin the photo. And then we take it. It was great. And then we loop back out and start leaving, and they tell us, "You actually need to go back. The photo didn't work." And I was like they didn't actually get the photo. And so I was like, "Oh yes!" Like that is such great news to hear when you're at Celebration, because it's like then you get to go back again. So at this point, I had seen the Clone Wars cast 3 times in the span of 5 minutes. It was great. But it was funny, man, because Tom Kane has a slightly short temper, and you could tell he was slightly fed up with me. Like, because it's hard, man, not to spaz out when you're with them.
Of course.
It was crazy, man, because it's like those people, and and just really a lot of these stars, they have such a lasting impact on so many people's lives, and you always kind of feel like they don't necessarily know it, and so you just always like try to drive it home in those moments you get with them. But that was nuts, man. And like shortly thereafter, we had a photo op with Hayden Christensen, and that was so great to see him again. Just telling him once again the big impact, and like last 14 years of my life, my 20-year life started with him. And he's just saying, awesome, man. We take the photo, it's great. And let me tell you, like then shortly thereafter, I think it was that same day after getting the picture with Hayden Christensen, we go on an autograph line with Hayden again, and this is later in the day now. And I had my lightsaber on me for the photo. So in the photo, I was wearing the exact same lightsaber from when I was a kid. So this is my first ever lightsaber from 2005, the first toy that I went out and bought after seeing Revenge of the Sith and after seeing Star Wars for the first time with Revenge of the Sith. And it was the first lightsaber that I actually took and went outside with and played with. And so it's so beat up from those early years when I was a kid. But so I thought it would be the perfect piece to have on me in the photo with Hayden Christensen, but then to also have the opportunity to have him sign it later that day was so unexpected and really, really incredible. And that was really great. Man, and so much other stuff happened. I think on Saturday was also the Jedi Fallen Order panel when they and we didn't get into the Jedi Fallen Order panel, and we didn't have time. And actually, we were going to catch the live stream of the Jedi Fallen Order panel, but the Star Wars Show stage actually went to lunch. And then when we all lined up for the Jedi Fallen Order panel and surrounded the Star Wars Show stage for the stream, they come out and they're like, we need to go to lunch. we're not gonna stream the panel. We're gonna play it like an hour after it happens. And we're just like, oh, come on, man. So, you know, what a time for them to have lunch during one of the biggest panels. But it was great. Personally, I had no idea that Cameron Mahangan, I don't know how to say his last name, but the guy who has done an incredible job playing the Joker on Gotham all these years, or at least he just recently started actually playing the Joker now that they finally landed on who they want the Joker to be on that show, which is actually wrapping up next week. But he's the lead character playing the lead Jedi on the run post Order 66. And I am looking forward to Jedi Fallen Order, and it looks great. I mean, the game looks phenomenal. I mean, it was really great because we were also there in person when the head of Respawn Entertainment walked out, and he said, no microtransactions, basically said, no microtransactions, no BS, none of that stuff. I totally paraphrased there, but you get what I'm saying. It was a big announcement, and it was cool because we were there in person for it when he said it. But yeah, then actually seeing the footage and seeing what they've been working on, man, it's great. It looks great. I mean, the story seems great. Like I was kind of concerned, it does seem a little close to Kanan's story post Revenge of the Sith, but I am looking forward to it, man. It's going to be great. I'm excited to see what they plan on doing lightsaber combat in particular.
Well,
You know how
we saw that kind of scene in the trailer when they were doing force combat. That looked amazing. I mean, and I hope that that's not what are they called when you the button prompts that come up. What is that called?
quick time events.
Quick time events. I hope that it's not that.
Yeah.
But
See, I say this all the time about Battlefront 2 and like Star Wars games in general. I hope that they go back to something like KOTOR, where it's just like where you just are engaged in the lightsaber duel, and it actually there's some skill and some you have to pay attention to what you're doing. I hope that they design some kind of system that really kind of revolutionizes lightsaber combat for Star Wars games.
Look at all these games that we have right now. I mean, Dark Souls 1 and 2, they blew up, but then after Dark Souls 3, you have Bloodborne on PS4, you have Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, and the reason I bring those games up is because they have extremely complex battle systems that don't baby the player. And Respawn, with their Titanfall 2 campaign, which is phenomenal, it's a sleeper game in my opinion, they don't baby the player. So I really think that specifically the force combat is going to have like an aura around the hands, and it's going to focus on movements, like a Sekiro or a Bloodborne or a Dark Souls game. And then when we get lightsaber combat, I think it's going to follow suit as well.
So. We'll see, man. I will say, of course, my brain being the canon freak that I am, I immediately start questioning things like, okay, this is looking amazing. You've got these new Purge troopers that are wearing airborne helmets from the Clone Wars and like the same recon helmets that Commander Neo in the 91st War. So it's like, who are these guys? Where were they? Why is this the first time we're seeing them? Because obviously we also do have the Vader comics, and the Vader comics, some of them take place very soon after Revenge of the Sith, with Vader training the Inquisitors for the first time. And I think we do actually see the Inquisitor from this trailer. I think that Inquisitor did appear in the Vader comics, at least very briefly.
So yes, I can confirm. Very similar looking Inquisitor for sure.
Yeah, if that's the case, there you go. There's the connectivity for that Inquisitor with the rest of canon. And also, of course, you can't gloss over the fact that Inquisitor is probably Barriss Offee, and I think we're all just waiting on that reveal. I think it's pretty much, I think it's pretty obvious that it's Barriss.
I mean, it's definitely super. It's a kind of a given, but I mean, I wouldn't mind if it was a new character personally, because I mean, most of the Inquisitors are.
Yeah, and I get that you don't want to make the universe feel too small, but I mean,
no, but like I think Barriss would be excellent.
Like literally for the story, it fits in perfectly. I know that Henry Gilroy in the past has said that Vader probably would have just killed Barriss, but if Palpatine gets the final word and final say, so if he wanted her to become an Inquisitor, then there really wouldn't be much Vader could do about it, unless he wanted to manipulate his way into being able to kill her or something. Who knows? Yeah, but I still think that's the perfect opportunity that this game to bring in Barriss Offee and wrap up her story.
Yeah, there was a comic that came out in I think 2015 where Vader killed a bunch of admirals, and I think he killed the Inquisitor, and Palpatine was just like, So,
Yeah, no, Vader has killed like at least 2 or 3 Inquisitors.
right,
In the
no,
world.
but I want to see
Yeah,
a scene like that in this game where Vader just does something and Palpatine just goes, eh, like force chokes him a bit, makes his suit
yeah.
malfunction and then goes, eh. Because
And you also kind of like you wonder how much like obviously I think Vader and Palpatine will be in the game to some capacity, at least
yeah.
briefly.
Oh, they'll
Um,
definitely be like commanding or whatever because the Inquisitor has to take commands from somewhere, and
yeah,
Inquisitors
I
don't
mean
take
like
commands from admirals.
we'll have holograms of them at the very least.
Yeah,
So I'm looking forward to that. And I mean, of course, the canon side of me also thinks like, where was this Jedi in the Clone Wars? We never saw him wandering around the temple, and obviously you can just pass that off if they were literally anywhere else on a mission.
well, do
You
we
know.
know that this guy was a Jedi Knight or a Jedi Padawan, or was he just a
Yeah,
Force sensitive?
yeah, no, he was a Jedi. They've pretty much talked about that.
Oh,
Yeah, he's a
okay.
surviving Jedi. On the run, after Order 66, barely survived.
Yeah, I would like to see a
So
character in this game that's a Force sensitive but not a Jedi. I think that would be interesting to play with. And not a Force sensitive, but a Dark Jedi or something like that. No, just somebody who's Force sensitive but has zero training.
right. And that kind of brings us. That's a good segue into the Mandalorian panel because there's
Okay.
rumored to be a similar character in that series potentially. I don't know for sure, but kind of wades into spoiler territory. But to start off, Sunday was day 4 of Star Wars Celebration, the second to last day, and you asked me the biggest day because even though we haven't really talked about Episode 9 quite at length, we're not exactly going in order in case anybody listening has noticed.
Yeah, we're going by
Man,
kind of importance of the topic itself.
yeah, I'm just, this is like so much happened at Celebration. I'm just a bit of a jumbled mess, and so you know, we'll get to Episode 9 because there's actually a bit more to talk about with Episode 9.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I
so
have a
we're kind of
lot of
saving,
opinions. Let me just say that.
yeah, man. So we're kind of saving that for the very end of this
Section.
portion and the Celebration talk. But dude, come Sunday, we are flipping out because going to Celebration and back in downtown Chicago was a breeze. We had shuttle buses going both ways. It was very easy, not a problem each day. And then we get there on the 4th day, Sunday, and this is the big day, man. This is when we actually have lottery ticket wins. We won entry into the Mandalorian panel. We needed to get there. And so then they rearranged the entirety of the security checkpoints. All security was rearranged around the McCormick Place Convention Center. And that was a really bad day for that to happen because we needed to get over to the Wintrust Arena, which is a separate building over. And so we didn't know what was going on. We also had to regroup with Joe, and I had to go up there and grab him. And they weren't letting him in on a certain side, so he couldn't like come and join me. And so we had to basically go down the right side of the building and walk through a blizzard to get to the Wintrust Arena. And it was bad, man, because it's like my dad couldn't keep up, and it was just the worst day for that to happen because of that blizzard that was outside that day, which we thought was coming on Friday, but actually showed up on the 4th day, Sunday. And so we're like, okay, we don't have much of a choice. We need to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible, and that was going from um, the like side of the main convention center, and then getting over to the Wintrust Arena across the street. And so we're just power walking through the snow, like blaring wind and slush to get there super quick. And man, did we feel that in the legs for the next couple days after. It was nuts, but we made it over there after it must have been a 5-minute power walk. And yeah, man, we get there and we were doing it because we wanted to make sure that our seats were good. Because even though we had lottery ticket wins that guaranteed us seating in a particular section, all the seats in those sections were first come, first serve
Right.
for lottery winners of the panels. And so we were just power walking over there to make sure we weren't too high up. And we got over there, and sure enough, there was nobody in our section. And yeah, man, we got in there, and the plan was because the panel reservation system for the smaller panels, so the Clone Wars and everything else that was happening, also on that day, the panel reservation system on the app never worked. They never got it working. It was bugged, and it never really did anything. It was, and I mean, there was a day where we got up early to check because they told us that they were going to be fixing it at like between like 6 and 9 a.m. on Saturday. So we were actually up early that day, and it did not happen, man. And so anyway, we're in the Wintrust Arena now, finally, in the same room where the Episode 9 panel was. And yeah, it was great. You have this guy named Mark Daniels who comes out and he hypes up the crowd, and it's a ton of fun. And the plan was, okay, The Mandalorian is at 11 a.m. We got in there at like 10, like 9:30, 10. And the Alan Tudyk had a panel at 1:30. Then the Clone Wars was at 3:30. So the plan was to just sit in there. And because we didn't have guaranteed access to the Clone Wars panel, we didn't, because the panel reservation system for it never actually worked, and we never were able to reserve. We're like, okay, well, we have access, we have guaranteed access to the Mandalorian panel. We'll just hang out and stay in here until the Clone Wars panel. And so that's what we did. So we were in there for like 4 hours, and it was great because it was like the only day where we sat down for an extended period of time. Otherwise, you're standing up the entire rest of the event. And it was great, man. Because we actually, for the first time, were able to just relax. And it was great because then the Mandalorian panel kicks off. Jon Favreau, Kathleen Kennedy comes out with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. And she's just so proud of the two of them, just like everybody, I think, in the room was. I mean, obviously, of course, those who don't know, Jon Favreau, I mean, just a major pioneer for this industry. I mean, he directed Iron Man 1 and 2, kickstarted the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Kevin Feige, has gone on to do crazy things like Jungle Book and now Lion King coming out, and now he's working on The Mandalorian at the same time, the first ever live action Star Wars show. And so I was just so happy about it because, I mean, also Dave Filoni got to direct the first episode. So it's like, this was huge for not only Star Wars, but for them. And so, I mean, getting to see the two of them in person walk out was really great, because just seeing the president of Lucasfilm be so excited for the two of them just really made me excited for the two of them, like I already was. But I mean, everybody was just so happy for them. And they come out and they bring out the original cast, or the whole cast anyway, for The Mandalorian. And they're talking to us about the show. They're introducing the characters. They're telling us about the process. They're showing, they give us the first bits of footage over that hour. And Warwick Davis the whole time is doing a great job hosting all these panels throughout the event, these big panels. And so essentially they show us the characters. They give us a lot of footage. I mean, it was, at first they gave us like a whole behind the scenes featurette, which was really great to really highlight the passion that they're pouring into this. And I love when Jon Favreau he started being very technical about it. And I love when he just started, showing how they were employing different techniques that were used on the original Star Wars films by using miniatures and how they were shooting particular space scenes. That behind the scenes featurette was so great. And then, man, cut to them showing us 7 minutes of footage. They showed us
that's rad. I didn't hear about that. That's rad.
7 minutes of footage. It was like 2 or 3 scenes, just straight up.
That's so rad.
I mean, it was great, man. It was great. It was our first, look at the series.
So what's the quality looking like? Because, I mean, that's my biggest concern with a TV show. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the times TV shows do not have high production. You have exceptions like Black Mirror and stuff like that, but...
Yeah, so, I mean, what they've shown us from The Mandalorian, I mean, it does look like a very focused story on a localized, backwater world. So... there are some really crazy shots out in the snow and with vast landscapes, and you do get the ships, and but the budget does show a little bit. Sure, you can tell that you're watching a TV show, but it's still of incredibly. It's so high caliber, man, that you really don't care. Because I mean, it's no different from watching Tatooine. It's no different from watching any other smaller planet that we've already seen in Star Wars. It's really great. And Pedro Pascal is so enthusiastic about the role when he's talking about it on the panel. And he's really good as the Mandalorian, keeping the helmet on the whole time for all the footage that we had seen. And the footage that we were shown was really cool. The first sequence with the Mandalorian walking into like a secret little facility, kind of like he kind of enters like a cantina where he then I think cuts a corner and goes into a room where they all are. These Imperial remnants who have been basically been hanging on to the ways of the Empire for the last 5 years since the collapse, because it has been 5 years since the end of the Return of the Jedi. And so that was really cool because the stormtroopers look all dirty and grimy. Like you can really tell they've been wearing the same armor for the last 5 years. That was very interesting, and all the performances were really solid. There was a shot where all the stormtroopers pull their blasters on him, and someone says to him like, "You sure you want to do this? It's 4 against 1," and he says, "I like those odds," and it's like, yo,
Such a Star
you
Wars
know,
line. That's such a Star
oh
Wars
my
moment.
god, that was perfect. I loved it. But yeah, Pedro Pascal, you can tell is going to do so great as the Mandalorian. I mean, every shot just looks so damn good, man.
Yeah.
And the featurette was so great. I mean, just highlighting the passion behind it all and seeing George Lucas on set. They showed a little bit of that. I mean, it was great. It was really good.
Quick
And
question, real
yeah,
quick. Is John Favreau, is he the producer and he's also directing an episode, or is he going to be series director?
he's basically like the showrunner.
Okay, cool.
You know, like there are various different directors. So you had Dave directing an episode,
Right,
Bryce
in
Dallas
different
Howard,
episodes,
Taika
but
Waititi.
but
I'm pretty sure John is
overall,
directing an episode or two. Rick Fama is something I've never been able to pronounce his name. He's directing it. So I mean, but overall, it's John's show.
okay, that is. Think about John Favreau. Nobody kind of realizes his contribution to film and TV in general.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, he started the MCU for one.
Yep.
He's been producing, movie after movie, amazing
Mm-hmm.
movies, outside of Star Wars. I mean, he, wrote and directed the movie Chef, which I adore as a movie. I thought that was super
Oh yeah.
fun. I mean, John Favreau does so much for film and TV. I mean, I think that he's very, very understated, but I think he allows himself to be understated. I'm a huge Jon Favreau fan, so I'm excited
Yeah,
to see
dude.
what he can do with this show.
I mean, it's like, and whenever him or Dave talk, it's like you don't feel like it's weird because it's like it doesn't. It has a different vibe from like say Kathleen Kennedy or other, where it's like you feel like you're being talked to by a fan.
It's
Like
unabridged
these.
passion, is what it
I mean,
is.
right? Yeah, it's unabridged passion because right out the gate, John is talking about all the different things that they brought in, all the different inspirations, and I mean, very quickly he starts bringing up Legend and the Clone Wars and all these different connections that they're making with the Mandalorian and how it satisfies everyone. I mean, it's like right out the gate with this. It was like I loved it, man. It was great, and I mean, what I also really appreciated about the footage we were shown of the Mandalorian is right away you're also connected with the Star Wars universe, and what I mean by that is obviously we've talked about this before with the lack of connection that the sequel trilogy has, and that problem where you never see any familiar species besides Chewbacca, or you never hear a familiar sound besides the ignition of a lightsaber, stuff like that, where it's like it just feels a little too foreign at times. Whereas Mandalorian, this is not a problem at all, and straight up you see Twi'leks, you walk right into a cantina, you got a little eyeball thing from Jabba's palace, you've got Gonk droids,
See,
you've
I
got
love it. I love it when they do that because I mean, a
yeah,
lot of the times when you're reading an extended universe comic book or Rogue One, there's so many introduced alien races. And like I
mm-hmm.
get it, the Star Wars universe is thousands of planets, but
Yeah, I don't have a problem
it's
with that, just as long as they still bring in the familiar, the familiar species to remind us, and still keep things connected.
right. I mean, I love it. Like in Rebels, oh my gosh, there's a cantina scene in like season 2 or something like that, and all the aliens are new. And it felt kind of weird. I get it, they're on Lothal or whatever, but seeing a cantina similar to the one we're familiar with from episode
Yeah,
4, of course, seeing all of those alien races that we know and love, it's just so
mm-hmm.
nice.
Yeah, man. And so yeah, everything for the Mandalorian panel was just phenomenal. I mean, the series looks great. It looks like a really great start for Star Wars live action TV. I mean, they already greenlit season 2 and have already gotten started on that. They've got the same composer who did the music for Black Panther working on this. It is,
Oh, rad.
oh my god, dude! It's going to be great. I mean, the music that they did play in the snippets, I assume was his.
So I
Maybe
just want to
not,
say,
but it was great.
the Black Panther soundtrack was kind of forgettable. How is this sounding compared to that?
You think the Black Panther soundtrack was forgettable? I thought it was incredible.
Oh, really? I
Dude.
cannot. I've watched that movie twice. I watched it once in theaters and then once at home, and
Oh my god, I
I
will never
couldn't display it to
forget
you.
that soundtrack. Holy crap, dude!
All right,
Like
well,
you, all those different Tate, you're letting me down. No.
I'm sorry, dude. I can't seem to put my finger on it. I remember loud horns blowing, during the Battle of Wakanda at the end, but
Loud horn.
that's all I
That's what
remember.
you. Oh my god.
I'm sorry,
Uh,
dude. It didn't hit me. It wasn't striking like a BVS soundtrack.
oh man. But yeah, man. So we get through the Mandalorian panel. It was unbelievable. They show this poster that we were all being given. Everybody in the room. They handed out these little cards that you had to go and turn in to get one.
Okay, really quick, I have a question, Ross. This is kind of
Yeah.
arbitrary, but how did you
Uh-huh.
get your posters and everything back home in like one piece and looking fresh?
Because Tate, I have moved 16 times in my 20-year life, and I know how shit goes.
Oh, gotcha. Was it a
Yeah,
suitcase or did you ship it?
no, it was a suitcase. It was all suitcase, and
Good game.
yeah.
Good game.
So
GG.
what essentially what I did was with the Clone Wars poster that I had signed, I brought that there in the same tube that it was shipped in, but that was the problem because that obviously ties up one of my hands like the whole time,
Yeah.
and so Joe's fiance Madison pointed out a booth that had the poster tubes with the strap, and so I was like, $10, give me that, thank you. Just rolled it up, and I was carrying it in that for the rest of the event. That was very helpful. And then and then as far as like the rest of them go, we immediately got we did our best to get slip cases.
Oh, gotcha.
So, yeah, they were also selling slip cases at the event. So like, again, $10, you get a slip case, you can protect all your posters, and it was great. So we used poster tubes and slip cases, and I just used those for just pack them properly in the actual suitcase on the way back. Clothes are really good padding, as it turns out. But yeah, man. So I was really glad that because I also had other things that were a bit more fragile, like the exclusive Black Series Maul and Obi-Wan from the Phantom Menace.
Those are cool figures.
Yeah, I mean, like I was kind of concerned that those were going to get slightly damaged. Thankfully, they didn't. But yeah, the Hasbro and Lego and Funko booth all had lotteries for the first time in Celebration this time too, and so I lost all of those lotteries. Didn't win a single one. Thankfully, our friend Corey's cousin was nice enough to give Joe the voucher for the Lego booth, and so he was able to get the set. And then because Joe got that, he didn't really care for Hasbro or any of that stuff, and he actually had an extra Hasbro lottery win. So Joe had 2 lottery wins for Hasbro, and he gave one of them to me to get the Maul and Obi-Wan. And only when I got home did I realize the day that we got there, I actually got 2 lottery wins for the Hasbro booth, and I had no idea they were just sitting in my email. I mean, it's like, dude, when you're running constantly every day, you're not 100% with how you check your phone.
Of course.
And so I had no idea. I wasn't thoroughly reading my email any of the 5 days, and so. But yeah, those are great.
Next topic is Clone Wars Season 7.
Yeah, dude. So then, like
less
I said,
information on that regarding Clone Wars compared to Mandalorian, right?
Yeah, so we sit through Alan Tudyk's panel, and then we just immediately go straight into Clone Wars after that. I met up with Matt from the Brick Wiz, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
And then, so he was with me for that. And then, dude, unfortunately, Joe and Madison and Nick all had to leave, not able to be present for the Clone Wars panel.
Unfortunate.
But, like, holy crap. Listen, man, I bet the Episode 9 panel was pretty good, but, Tate, if I'm being honest with you, I think the Clone Wars Season 7 panel was by far the best panel of the whole show. And most people are not going to agree there because excited a lot of people are for Episode 9, and I get that. But, man, being in the room with Dave Filoni, and at first they only brought out Sam Witwer, D. Riley Baker, and Ashley Eckstein. So I was like, okay, well, I guess that's fine.
Well, hey, I mean, Ross, being in the same room as Dave Filoni, I don't know if that's the closest you were. Hint, hint.
Yeah,
hint.
We'll get to that, man. Oh man, the best story to come out of the freaking event. And then they're showing us clips. They're talking about the Clone Wars in the series. They're talking, they're talking about Dave and his trust tree and all the things that he keeps from them. I mean, the chemistry of the entire cast. I mean, they're just one big happy family, and that chemistry is just always so fun to watch, especially being able to be there in person. Like, if that was the one panel I got to go to at Celebration, like, that was it. I mean, it was such an honor, too, because when they're talking about the Clone Wars Season 7 at the panel, they're very much talking about it with a finality. So ever since the original announcement, a lot of us have been speculating that, okay, if it does well on Disney Plus, they may go through and continue it and go a little further. And that does not sound like it's going to be the case. It does sound like these 12 episodes are, in fact, it. And this is going to be the ending of the series. They were talking about it, like I said, with quite a finality to it. And that's fine, because so many people are slightly disappointed by that. And again, for me, it's like, listen, man, we went from no episodes, 0 to 12 and a conclusion to the show. And it's like, so that's all right, man. And, but yeah, Sam Witwer, like his Dave Filoni impression and Ashley Eckstein and D. Riley Baker shared their text exchange from when they first found out that it was coming back. And that was all really fun. And dude, it was great. Cause then eventually the whole rest of the cast does come out. And it was funny because like a couple of days prior, James Earl Taylor was being very coy about it with us because we were actually at his autograph booth, and he was, we were like, we can't wait to see you on the panel to see that trailer tomorrow, right? And obviously, cannot confirm nor deny that he'll be there at the panel. But yeah, he was there. There was a trailer, and it was cool, man. He was there, and then Matt Lanter walked out, and Catherine Tabor, Matthew Wood, all of them. Tom Kane. I mean, the rest of them all come out, and oh man, yes, like Tate. Obviously, we had just gotten a picture with all of them on Saturday, the day before.
Yeah, but that's electric to be at that panel and seeing them all.
It was electric. So packed too, man. It was the whole room. It was so damn packed. I swear there were more people in the room for the Clone Wars panel than the Mandalorian. I mean, it was nuts.
So I do want to say I'm kind of surprised that they're making season 7 kind of the conclusion, or at least alluding to it. Because do you know how much money Disney would make on Disney Plus subscriptions if they did like 3 more seasons?
Yeah, man.
So that's not out of the question, in my opinion.
It's not out of the question, but it doesn't sound like it's something Dave is really considering. They're still working on these episodes.
Yeah, but if these do make them a lot of money, are they all getting dropped at once, or are they getting dropped?
No, so the Clone Wars and Mandalorian once they start.
Gotcha. Yeah, no. If by episode 3 they're pulling in, hundreds of thousands of views, then I think that Dave Filoni's not going to really have a choice, even if he leaves the project. I mean, Disney's going to want to make money.
Yeah, but the scary territory that you begin to enter there is Dave Filoni really is the heart of the show.
Oh, absolutely.
He's the one who brings the cast together. He's the number 2 to George Lucas that really made the whole thing work. That's why George Lucas brought him on all those years ago, because Dave Filoni is the guy.
Because before Clone Wars, wasn't he writing a lot of extended universe books, Dave Filoni? Wasn't that his role?
He was working on like Avatar, Last Airbender, doing a bunch of things, man. He was a Star Wars fan, like all of us. He was at a freaking event, like cosplaying as Plo Koon at one point, very early on. Many years ago. We're talking like 2003, 4.
Yeah.
And he's just so great. Him and Jon Favreau, they're just fans.
Oh yeah.
They're just fans. And
so much love for Jon Favreau once again.
Yeah, they're so inspiring, man. Because it's like they're like us, They're really great. They're goofs, but they're so brilliant, and they're creative geniuses that have gone so far with all in the industry and with everything they want to do.
Let's get Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni on the show. Well, let's do a Twitter thing. Like how many retweets to get you guys on the show?
Yeah, done. Easy. Oh man.
We should though. How many retweets to get you guys on the show? That'd be epic. And then maybe they say a ridiculous amount, because I mean they're super busy. But hey, I think we can get it. I think we can get to that.
Dude, once we talk about Dave a little more toward the end, he actually kind of brought some stuff up about all that and how he interacts with fans. But dude, let me tell you, when they first announced, when Dave and the crew, they first brought up Bad Batch, at first I was like, oh, it's okay, so they are doing Bad Batch. And I think we may have discussed this on the show at one point.
We did,
but it's like,
last week, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, if it's the final 12 episodes of the Clone Wars, I don't necessarily want a third of it to go to the Bad Batch.
Agreed.
But that is going to be the case. And that's
Siege of Mandalore is essential.
Yeah.
And we're so going to get that, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no,
Okay,
they showed
perfect.
footage from. Yeah. Tate, I don't think you actually did. You didn't see the Clover season 7 trailer.
Dude, I don't want to see it. I want to
Yeah.
experience it. You
Oh
know,
man, we might be
when it
waiting a
comes
while.
out. You know what?
Um,
That's fine, dude. I love that freaking series. So,
dude.
when are
Yeah.
they putting Clone Wars on Disney Plus? They're doing it in like
So here's the
October or
deal.
something like that.
They didn't talk release dates at all.
No, right, but I mean
Yeah.
the Clone Wars 1 through 6.
Oh, 1 through 6, I'm sure will go up day one on Disney Plus, if I were to guess. Or
Oh,
maybe
okay.
not. Maybe it'll all go up with the new season.
That would be kind of lame in my opinion. Like
Yeah,
they got to give us some time to rewatch.
I think that would be wise. Yeah.
I
But they
for
also may
one
not want to
will be.
confuse people and make new people think the new the previous 6 seasons of the show are have anything to do with the new ones. They might want
That's
to create a
true.
delineation and a distinction there. I don't know.
Do you know if like The Simpsons is going to be on Disney Plus?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Is
Oh
it?
man,
So because they
yeah,
have their own, they have like a specific Simpsons World. It's called Simpsons World. It's a specific streaming service for only Simpsons. So
that's crazy, man.
that's kind of. I mean, shoot. There's how many thousands of episodes? I think there's literally like 1,500 episodes.
That's yeah,
That's nuts.
yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
Disney Plus is sounding like it's gonna be, you know, worth it compared to like the DC
oh
streaming
yeah, man.
service. Like that just
Oh my
has
god.
one show.
I'm telling you right now, if Doom Patrol wasn't going on DC Universe right now, I would have canceled that subscription.
I'm gonna wait till the free trial and I'm just gonna binge
Easy.
watch the entire first season.
Yeah, dude. Once Doom Patrol wraps up, I think I'm canceling my subscription. Um,
Is it only gonna be one
but
season or are they renewed?
no. I mean, I'm saying like in the off season, I'm not paying for that.
Yeah.
Uh, but dude, they show us the clip of the Bad Batch, and it's all of them in one giant fight sequence against a giant army. A whole.
All of them, including Ahsoka, by the way.
No, it was just the Bad Batch.
Gotcha. Okay, just that batch.
Um,
Excellent.
yeah, so it's like Rex is there, and I forget which other clone is there with him too. It might have been ARC Trooper Jesse or someone, but Rex is there with Bad Batch, and then Bad
That's
Batch
interesting.
they kick into gear with all their different unique abilities and the things that they specialize in, and they take this droid army the f out. It
That
is
sounds rad.
yeah, man. The footage is online. I think too. It was great. It was like it was surreal, man, because it's like just settling into that and watching the Bad Batch and watching new footage from the Clone Wars for the first time since 2014. Like a full scene. I mean, obviously we've seen new footage with last year's trailer, but it was nuts. And to hear the Clone Wars music again too, they use in the background of battle sequences. It was
Iconic.
like being right back at home, man. Now listen, the Bad Batch arc was already released as one giant unfinished animatic on
Right.
StarWars.com.
Yep.
And I'm so glad that I, for one, never finished that animatic.
Wait a
and
minute.
two,
They're reusing that animatic like completely. They're not changing
no,
that.
so
Oh,
no,
so I've
but
already seen it.
they're not reusing it completely. They have changed things up,
Okay, cool.
but there are definitely sizable sections from it that are being incorporated in. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So to anybody looking at Homer season 7 now, yeah, steer. I mean, who the hell is going to go on StarWars.com and dig those up anyway? But I mean, it's like, yeah, you don't want to watch those animatics now because it's being actually put onto the show for this final season. But yeah, so then apparently there's also they showed a clip from that, and that was great. And they also showed a clip of Ahsoka post season 5, first time getting a sequence of Ahsoka after leaving the Jedi Order in the Clone Wars, and basically it's a scene with her upper levels of the underworld. Her speeder breaks down, and then she has to survive as her speeder is breaking down, and like she's running across the walls, and she's getting frustrated, and it's just a really great sequence. And she lands and meets up with these 2 new characters, and apparently there's going to be a whole story arc with the 4 of them, and then that'll lead into the Siege of Mandalore, the final 4 episodes of the series. I think that's all approximate. That's my guess. We don't actually know how long each arc will be, but it sounds like it's going to be 3-4 episode arcs between Bad Batch, Ahsoka, and her underworld friends, and then the Siege of Mandalore finally.
Honestly, Ross, I'm beginning to disagree with you with not wanting to see, Bad Batch, as it's not essential, but I think it'll be really good to ease us back into the hard-hitting story because Siege of Mandalore is going to be executed well. It's going to be a hard-hitting story.
Oh yeah.
And I think to have a kind of a bridge between no Clone Wars to big, heavy Clone Wars story, I think it'll be nice.
Yeah, but I also feel like that could have been done with stories that are a bit more important leading into Revenge of the Sith,
That's true, absolutely.
But again, I'm not complaining. It's like, not for a second do I want to complain about any of this, because it's happening.
Dude,
I'm so grateful that this is happening, and not only is it that it's happening, but that we actually had the privilege of being in the room to support Dave and the whole cast in person. Being a part of that was incredible. To be one of the few thousand people in that room, man, that was the greatest panel experience since the 40th anniversary from Orlando. I mean,
Ross, here's my thing. I think that we're extremely fortunate to even have had Clone Wars on Netflix. You know what I mean? Because they were in a battle, dude. It was getting taken off, put back on. Even just having that on a streaming service, that was nuts.
Yeah, and it'll be back on Disney Plus.
I know.
Inside the year.
Can you watch Clone Wars on Cartoon Network? They no longer air Clone Wars on Cartoon Network now that Disney.
No, I don't think they air. I don't particularly know, but I know you can like buy the Clone Wars on like Amazon.
Just wait until I'd say just wait until November or whenever they're releasing Disney Plus, because it'll most likely be there, and it'll cost a lot less money than to buy all 6 seasons. Sure. All 6 seasons is what, like $150 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, so it was great. The cast, and obviously the cast, they don't get to see any of the footage early. They see it with all of us, and so they lean back and they literally they would turn around and then they would lay on the floor and kick their feet up on the chairs to watch the big screen above them. And it was like, oh man, like I was just like, oh man, they're just such cool people, all of them, and it's such an incredible experience. And then obviously also being able to see them all at the photo ops and the autograph session and talk to them briefly. They're great people. They're just all great people, and they're all so talented. And then when the footage starts, and Tait, let me tell you, man, seeing Ahsoka all these years later with the new and refined animation, with everything looking so much more, even more crisp than it used to. Everything is so much more colorful now. The lighting is even more advanced than it ever was. Coruscant just looks and feels so real as Ahsoka is speeding her way through it. It's like it was unbelievable, and that entire trailer was insane, man. And the shot and just seeing like Anakin and her together in a hallway again, and the shot of Ahsoka walking in on the 501st with Captain Rex, and all of them have painted their helmets in orange with the same designs as the markings on her forehead. It was like that trailer.
That's awesome. I didn't see that, but that sounds awesome.
It was unbelievable. It was so well put together. Unfortunately, they haven't released a full high quality, like the official version of the trailer. Still, we only have like the stream version. Unfortunately, I don't know why Lucasfilm hasn't posted the actual thing.
Yeah.
In HD, but we got to see it in HD in that moment twice, and yeah, dude. The clones all look so refined too, and they look younger. They've changed up the character models and the rigs a bit. It's unbelievable, man. And
jeez.
You see like Obi-Wan and Mace Windu, and they no longer have the gauntlets anymore. They've taken them off. Transitioning into Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
You see a new planet. You hear Windu say, like Master Yoda, your thoughts on how to win this war, and Yoda just says, "No longer certain I am that one does actually win a war." I'm paraphrasing, but oh man. And one thing Dave mentioned in the panel is that because they have gotten further with animation since the Clone Wars wrapped, they are able to incorporate mocap into the series this time.
Oh, cool.
And so the final fight between Maul and Ahsoka, the final lightsaber fight of the series for the Siege of Mandalore, is a motion capture fight.
That's awesome.
And you can tell in the trailer they brought in Ray Park to do the motion capture for Maul.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yep. Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Yep. And they got somebody else doing the mocap for Ahsoka, and it's like, oh my
I
god.
mean, Clone Wars was always so floaty, specifically with the Force wielders. So it'll be nice to see it grounded a bit.
Mm-hmm. And Maul's got his double-bladed lightsaber back again. He's in costume, which is slightly closer to how he appears way further down the line in the future in Solo. So like his final appearance in the Clone Wars is kind of inspired by how he looks in Solo to kind of create a somewhat of a bridge there. And oh man, it was incredible. It really was. I mean, and I was and at one point Matt Lanter turned to Ashley and they said this under the you didn't actually hear them say it, like they said it away from the mic, but Matt basically leaned over to Ashley and said, "This could be our last time doing this." And she burst out into tears, and like I personally didn't notice. I have to go back and watch the VOD, but it was just such an emotional panel for everyone.
Damn, dude.
Because it's like, again, that's why these photo ops have these autograph sessions. I always really try to drive home to each one of them, like, how big of an impact they've had on not just me, but, whoever's with me, whichever friends I had with me there at the time. And it's like, these people really do change lives through their work. And these panels are really great for them because they really get that sense, and they get to hang on to, they deserve it so much. I'm just so happy for all of them, so proud of them all. I mean, they're all just such amazing people and so talented, and the fact that they were brought back on to do this one more time, bookend the show, it's the whole thing. It was not only a privilege for the show to come back, but it was a massive privilege to just be in the room.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was unbelievable. That was the best part of Celebration for me, was that panel. But then also on the last day, actually running into Dave Filoni.
Oh, man.
So Tait, my guy, let me tell you.
Oh, jeez. This is
We had some Chicago pizza on the first day. Didn't really have a chance to get any more like throughout the rest of the event. But then on the final day, we settled on a pizza place that we wanted to go to. So it was me. It was Andrew Vu from AV Figures, who was also with me throughout the whole event. He was rooming with us. And it was so great because he brought his hard case armor, and we got to take him to see D. Bradley Baker, and we made for one hell of a photo.
Oh, gosh. That was awesome. If you guys didn't see that, you missed out.
Yeah.
We got to get him on the show one of these weeks. The next hour special.
Hell yeah. I will let him know. I'm sure Andrew would love to come on. But, dude, we're at this pizza place having the best pizza I think I might have ever had in my entire life. And we're about to wrap up, we're probably 10, 20 minutes from getting up and leaving. And then Nabil is facing the window. So we're at this table in front of a big window for the restaurant, downtown Chicago. And so me, Andrew, this really cool guy, like Mike DaCosta, he was also there, a friend of Corey, he's a really cool guy. And my dad, we were all facing away from the window on one side of the table. On the opposite side of the table sat Corey and our friend Nabil. Those two, again, from First Order Transmissions, great guys, some of the best people I know. And then also Jesse, who they know from Australia, really cool guy, and his wife there too. And at one point, Nabil just goes, that was Filoni. Man, it's Dave Filoni. And listen, man, we were in Corey and Nabil's hotel room hanging out for a bit, and I was right there when Corey was messing with Andrew, trying to tell him how Vader killed Rex on Rebels. I mean, and I was playing along with it.
Wait, did he really?
Yeah, see, he was messing with... No, that didn't actually happen on Rebels.
Oh, I was like, what the heck?
No, Corey was messing with Andrew, and I was playing along, and it was really funny, and so I was like, okay, this is an end of convention meme. This is a joke. None of us really believed him, but we got up anyway. I'm just like, you're joking. He's like, no, man, I'm not. It's Filoni. And we're like, okay, but it's Celebration. Even if he's joking, you still get up to go check, right, even if it's a meme, because anything can happen. And so we fly out that pizza place so fast that apparently the waiter came over and thought we ditched. And so we go out there, and sure enough, there's Dave Filoni. And so eventually, as soon as Dave turns his head, um, Corey is like, Dave. And then I'm like, no way. And we talked to Dave Filoni for like 5 to 10 minutes,
That's awesome. That is so
right in front
awesome.
of, yeah, it was, it was great.
So nobody else showed up. It was just you guys and Dave.
It was just us. Yeah.
That's
Us and Dave.
insane. That is insane.
And it was
That nobody
totally
else
random.
saw it.
Nope.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, man, he was just dropping by a quick hot dog joint before going back up into his hotel room, and it was, and we just managed, and Nabil just saw him,
That is so
and Nabil
awesome.
saw him to the side, and he has a very recognizable face, Dave Filoni, so you can pick him out very easily, even without the hat. He was wearing a cap, but it was like a trucker hat instead of the main hat that he was wearing, and man, it was like, it was nuts. It really was. We were just talking to him like he's an old friend, like he's just like somebody we know. Just like, again, so it goes back to what I was saying about him and Jon Favreau just being fans. They're just cool people. I mean, he barely knows us, and we just start talking to him like he's one of our best friends, and he's totally with it. And it was like,
Dang, dude, that's so awesome.
it was so much better than when I first met him at Orlando on an escalator and then tried to tell him how much the series has affected me and my life in like the span of 30 seconds. Glad he didn't really remember that. But man, he's talking to us about, what we thought about the Clone Wars. We're telling him how much the series has meant to us and how we all have different careers now built around Star Wars that, or at least, originated from Star Wars because of the show. And we're telling him, the effect it, and, like just how much the show means to us. Like I said, and he was also telling us a little bit about the different concerns that he has to have with Lucasfilm, and like the certain like contractual things that he has to think about whenever he's interacting with fans. Like he can only accept certain gifts. He can only obviously say certain things, but he's actually like under more restrictions than you would think when it comes
Yeah.
to interacting with fans. And so that was pretty nuts. I mean, so he can't even like record video messages or anything like that, like the rest of the cast can. Stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. And we're talking about that kind of thing, those little logistical things. We're talking about the Mandalorian. He's telling us, how different it is to obviously be there shooting an episode live action in person as opposed to being, behind
In a
his desk.
studio? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No, dude, I mean, how nuts must that be for not only a Star Wars fan, but somebody
Listen,
who created
dude.
such an amazing show to be sitting there watching live action Star Wars characters duking it
Yeah.
out. I mean,
Oh man.
how can you
And it
ask
was
for
cool
anything
because
more?
he also said on the panel that they actually brought out um, members of the 501st. You know the 501st Art Tate?
Yes, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, the cosplay organization. And
There's so
they
much
needed
more
more.
than that now, though. I mean, they're
Yeah.
philanthropists at the end of the
They
day.
really
They
are,
do
man.
so much good. They do so
They're
much good.
they're unbelievable. They're incredible, all of them around the world. And I was fortunate enough to actually go to a pizza dinner with a lot of the Clone Wars ones, a lot of the Clone Wars cosplayers from 501st. And then it's just so great because I'm just sitting in this room with all these super passionate Clone Wars fans. Like, when do you get the opportunity? So great. We're in this pizza place. You paid like $30, and it was like unlimited pizza the whole time. Um, and that was the second opportunity actually that we had to get some Chicago pizza. But that was great because it's like you're just sitting there with the 501st guys, and they all have their individual helmets laid out on each table. So I'm just sitting there, and this guy's got a Commando Boss helmet right next to me. Over across the table, you got Commander Cody, you have ARF troopers, you've got Captain Rex helmets, you've got Fives helmets, you've got Andrew's hard case helmet. I mean, it's just like you have all these different Clone Wars fans. The girl sitting at the end of the table, she's still in full Ahsoka cosplay. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, the energy in that room, just from so many pure, passionate Clone Wars fans, unbelievable. I'm sitting next to this guy, and he's just he was really cool, man. His name was Stefan, and he's from Austria, and he was doing, and somehow got his Republic Commando armor there, and oh man, it was just every experience for Clone Wars were the best experiences of Celebration. From the panel, from that pizza party with the 501st guys and all the different ones who brought their clone trooper suits, I mean, all the way down to, of course, running into Dave on, in downtown. It was like incredible. I mean, and we all were just still kind of shaking and freaking out talking to Dave. And so we all get our pictures. It was very, we had to make sure everybody got a picture, and it was incredible because it's like, for me, Dave Filoni is my number 2, right behind George Lucas. I mean, those two guys totally redirected my life from a very young age with their work, and for him to just pass by.
It's like a movie.
That was the best. Yeah, that was the best moment of Celebration. It was the absolute perfect way to end it. And if I don't, and I also forgot to mention, when it happened, we're literally sitting there talking about Hasbro Black Series figures and how they need more Clone Wars characters, and we're just spitting off ideas like, man, could you imagine a Black Series Delta Squad and like Pre-Vizsla and Asajj Ventress, and then the bill goes, that was Filoni. Like, right as we're talking about this stuff. I was like, oh my God, man. Only at Celebration. And that was at the end of the last day, by the way, for anybody wondering. So that was Monday night. And, on the way back, when we were at the airport, I ran into both Warwick Davis.
You saw him at the airport?
Yeah, man.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and he was there with his family, I think. And so I didn't really want to bother them. I didn't know, how they would react. And they were also looking for their gate, so I didn't want to stop them. So I let him go at first, and then he actually came back my way and hopped on a line to grab some coffee. And I was like, yo. And so I went and grabbed a quick picture with him. I was like, hey, Mr. Davis, it's nice to meet you. I was like, can I grab a quick picture? I'll try to be subtle. I don't want to bother you. He's like, no bother. Got the picture. And I was like, you did a fantastic, you did a great job hosting this time. He's like, thank you very much. And that was it. But
Warwick Davis is a legend, dude. He's in everything.
He is, man.
I mean, he is.
And he's such a perfect host for Celebration, man. He does such a phenomenal job every year.
All right, so when are we getting Warwick Davis on the podcast? That's the question. How many retweets, Mr. Davis?
Dude, it was great, and he's great. But yeah, then we're like, holy crap! This is obviously one of the main stretches of the airport, and so my dad and I, we just from that point on, like while we're waiting for our boarding time, we just got our eyes locked on that stretch, and about 20 minutes later, sure enough, Ian McDermott starts walking by.
Are you serious?
And,
that's so cool.
And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, no. My dad's like, is that Palpatine? I'm like,
no.
I'm like, no. Yeah, it is. And so then I'm like,
no
I
way.
start gunning it, and I start heading in his direction, and then I'm like, shit, I just got up with nothing. It looks like I just got up with nothing and ran over to see him. So I went back, grabbed my backpack, and then I caught up with him. He kind of left into one of the clubs there. He obviously has like a membership with one of the airlines, whichever he was flying with, and then so it was very quick. I knew he's kind of stingy when it comes to interacting with fans in public, so I wasn't expecting anything. I was fully expecting him to turn me down, but it was still Ian McDermott right there. My last opportunity to see him, potentially not just at Celebration, but possibly ever. So immediately I kind of had this like selfish Carrie Fisher thought almost, where it's like, if I don't at least go and try to say hi, am I going to regret this?
Right.
And so I mean, I went to say hi to him, and I was like, Mr. McDermott, and then he looks down behind him and he sees my phone. He's like, oh, I'm kind of sorry. And I was like, oh, sure. I was like, take care, safe travels. And he was like, all the best, and that was it, man. But then I guess he didn't know where he was going, or that's not where he needed to be, because I walked back, realized that our plane isn't there and that our gate actually changed. And so I'm kind of freaking out looking at the screens. And then he walks back our same direction. He passes me again. Doesn't really acknowledge me, obviously, because he doesn't want me to come over again. But then he walks down that way. He walks down past us, and then he loops around, and then he starts coming back again. And at this point, I'm just like, have a good flight. And then he ignored me straight up, and I was like, okay. Just trying to be polite, because I appreciate all the work he's done throughout his career. And it's Palpatine, man. So
Jeez,
but I was very subtle. I don't want to scene. So
yeah.
I was discreet with both of them. But yeah, man. And then it turns out like our gate had suddenly changed. We're panicking, trying to figure out where our gate is. We have like 3 minutes now to board until the plane's gone. So we're trying to figure it out. We get over just like right there again. I must have encountered Ian like 5 different times in the span of 5 minutes.
Like, jeez.
He was just walking. He was just mingling all around that area. Like, okay.
How can't you like go and like badger him? You know what I mean?
It was so awkward after the first time when he turned me down because it's like I'm just passing by him now constantly.
Right.
Like you're just casually there with Ian McDermott, who just like took the world by storm with the episode 9 trailer in that moment at the panel.
Speaking of which, we should probably move on to that.
Oh yeah.
The episode 9 trailer. I'm gonna start by saying that the Palpatine laugh at the end is complete bait. That is nostalgia bait. I'm sorry, but
well, I mean, JJ did confirm that Ian is back for Palpatine, so
I hope it's a flashback. I hope he's not in it as a Force Ghost because that defeats the purpose of Force Ghosts.
It doesn't just defeat the purpose of Force Ghosts. See, this is where I was concerned too because it negates the entire saga if he's back.
Exactly.
From the Phantom Menace all the way up to Return of the Jedi, it is about the prophecy of the one who will bring balance by destroying the Sith. And that's the whole saga. That is Anakin's entire life's purpose, to restore balance by removing the Sith from power once and for all. And for Palpatine to be back, like, full blown and influencing the galaxy in any way really negates Anakin's entire life. And I would not be okay with that. What I would be okay with is them needing to go to the remains of the Death Star 2 or the original Death Star, wherever they may be, Endor or Yavin 4, who cares? But listen, if you ask me, because certain figures in Star Wars like Darth Vitiate are no longer canon, you start to have to think, because of how successful Palpatine was as a Sith. I mean, he did it. He achieved everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the machinations and the manipulation throughout his life as he completely changed the galaxy for the worse. I mean, for that level of pure evil and hatred to just, kind of be non-existent. And you think about it, he's such an anomaly. He was so much worse than everyone who came before him. He was the definitive Sith. And so what I think would make sense, because of how much raw power was within him throughout his life, it would make sense if there was some remnant of his spirit, of something left behind, some presence of him that lurks in the remains of whichever Death Star it is. That would make sense to me. Not necessarily
it's the same as Darth Bane though on Moraband. It's the exact same thing with the spirit kind of sticking around its resting place. Right.
Yeah, like not actually influencing the galaxy, not really possessing anyone or anything, but just you walk through and you hear his voice, you hear his laugh, you feel
his presence,
anger, you feel hate, you feel horrible, you feel the cold, like and that would be fun.
Like we know that with the Coruscant temple being built upon the Sith temple, that there is still. Idea. I know, right? Because it'll suppress the Sith power throughout the galaxy. Okay. But anyway, we know that the presence of the Sith still sticks around. It's like it's almost like a poisonous gas that never dissipates. It can't move anywhere else. It's stuck in one spot, but it's still there. So I think it's going to be something like that. But I hope it's not a situation like Darth Bane where he's completely sentient and like Rey talks to him or something of that sort.
I wonder if he really was sentient, because there were articles Dave said where it's like that wasn't necessarily ever Darth Bane's true form. Like that was all in Yoda's head. Maybe there wasn't a sentience to Darth Bane. That was just
It could have just been
Yoda perceiving him. Yeah,
and it
and
could have
how
been
he
the
would.
energy, just kind of screaming. Like
Yeah.
Darth Bane's anger is being portrayed in that way. That's true.
Um.
I don't want Rey to have a full on conversation though, because then it puts her on the same playing field as somebody like Yoda, and that's just not okay in my opinion.
What
Because
do you mean?
kind of going back to the Yoda interaction with Darth Bane, that
Yes.
interaction. If you kind of rewrite that scene, but it's Rey and Palpatine, it puts Rey on the same level as Yoda, just thematically.
Yeah, and also she really was never as directly linked in with that entire. It doesn't make sense because she didn't. Again, you have to develop Rey to earn that scene.
Of course.
You have to come out and say that she is the next chosen one for her to suddenly have the narrative right to
But
interact with Palpatine.
even so, from a filmmaking perspective and from a screenwriting perspective, just saying somebody's a chosen one is kind of lazy, specifically in the last movie,
They've
right?
got to do
With the
something.
with the prequels, we knew that Anakin was the chosen one since the first movie. In Harry Potter, we knew Harry Potter was the chosen one since the first movie, right? So it would be just a shell shock kind of situation to just all of a sudden say, "Yep, Rey's the chosen one. That's why she's good at everything." It doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, and I agree, man. But again, episode 9, we're just trying to pick up the pieces,
We're, we're just
and
trying to
just
go somewhere.
you're just I listen. We've had this conversation before. We don't we I only liked, I would say, 35-40% of the Last Jedi, and had major problems with the rest of it. And
I reckon only 20% for me.
yeah, I mean, and so again, I still don't believe that JJ can dig the saga out of the narrative hole left by Ryan Johnson. I don't think it can easily be done in 2 hours and 15 minutes. But that being said, man, I am looking forward to whatever they have been able to come up with and how they weaved the additional Carrie Fisher scenes into the narrative. That all seems really interesting. And JJ basically said a lot of the sequences are designed around that footage of Carrie now to keep her in. What that says to me is there will be no ending for Leia's story. You will see her in those scenes, and then there will come a point where she's just not in the movie anymore, and
Yeah.
those would have been her last scenes, and that's it. And it'll be left open ended, and Leia will just have survived, and we'll be done with the Skywalkers, and won't be hearing much from them after this.
I don't think that they need to explicitly kill her. That's my opinion. I mean, I think it's
You don't need
fine.
you don't have to kill her, but obviously,
They have to resolve her story.
right. If she hadn't passed, then obviously a conclusion for her character wasn't. Um,
Uh,
but either way, man, Tate, I'll be honest with you. On that second day on Friday, standing in front of the Star Wars show stage and watching with everybody in that mob, I did compose myself. It wasn't a Last Jedi situation where we were needlessly standing up on the chairs. Obviously, there were no chairs this time because we were standing around the stage. But I wasn't, because we were burned by the Last Jedi. I wasn't jumping up and down. I was smiling. We were watching footage for the conclusion of the Star Wars
I mean,
saga and the
it's still
Skywalker
hype
saga.
factor. You know what I mean? It's still
Yeah,
it's still
you're
something
still
that's exciting.
it's still an incredible experience just standing there watching with all those people and just watching new Star Wars footage. Period. Again, I don't take any of it for granted because there was a time where none of this was even a possibility, and so
Right.
it's like, regardless of what we think of it, it's still happening, and you're still watching new footage for a new Star Wars film. And so listen, man, I'll tell you, Tate, I wasn't impressed. I was impressed by some of the shots visually. I was impressed by like Kylo Ren running through the seemingly red tinted forest. I mean,
That was
finally in battle, that looked incredible. I didn't know what to make of the desert sequence. I mean, and the whole time JJ is again talking about everything having to look real and feel practical, and I'm just like nodding my head like, okay.
All right, buddy.
Yeah, and sure enough, man, it's like, listen, you're watching the episode 9 trailer, and we're back again in a fucking desert. Now we're demonetized. You know,
Hey,
sorry,
there's one per episode. It comes out of either, but
yeah, that
it's
was
like
it,
a
man.
rated R movie, a rated T
But we're
movie,
back. Yeah,
PG-13.
but we're back in the desert. We're back in the forest. We're doing all the same things as the Force Awakens, and so I'm just like, all right, this looks really good, but I'm not putting the blinders on. And the entire trailer sounded great. The line from Mark Hamill in the beginning, "We've passed on all we know. 1,000 generations of Jedi live within you now, but this is your fight." Um, I loved all of that, and obviously the speculation of him saying we've passed on all we know implies that maybe she will have spoken to Yoda or Obi-Wan or Anakin, and that would be great, because if they really are trying to bring it full circle, going beyond just Palpatine and bringing in Anakin and other characters from the rest of the saga would really prove that is their intention.
Yeah, I'm still burned by Luke's death. I'm sorry to bring that up, but like Force protection's supposed to be safe. You know what I mean? Like at least it wasn't Legends, and I don't know. It's just
I wasn't. Yeah, for me, it was just who was watching his sacrifice that ruined it for me. It was just like he's literally only being observed by the First Order. The rest of the Resistance were gone and didn't actually see what he did.
right. I mean, he wasn't a beacon of hope. You know what I mean? Like he should have been.
Yeah,
But
really, it wasn't. It wasn't like a massive light show for everyone to witness. It was a very odd sequence.
yeah, I think I saw a theory that the rise of Skywalker means that Skywalker's a new type of Jedi, like a stronger Jedi, and I just think that's kind of stupid. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and so speaking of
Like,
Skywalker and the title, the entire Star Wars saga has been very literal with the title.
oh yeah,
The whole saga, it's always been very literal.
absolutely.
And I don't think they're going to break that trend with this movie.
But they
And
said that Rey's parents weren't in the Force Awakens, bro.
listen,
But
man,
they said that.
I don't think JJ cares.
Hey, just like the title of Endgame was never spoken in Infinity War, right? Right.
Yeah, man.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, so I think Rey will probably wind up being a Skywalker.
So
Uh,
lame.
but listen, man, that's what the title says. Like, is it if well, listen, the rise of
But like she
Skywalker.
met her
What it could
dad.
mean, it could also signal a redemption arc for Kylo Ren, which a lot of people wouldn't be fond of. And then, so he kind of comes back from the brink, and so it becomes the rise of Skywalker. You could say that Rey is the next chosen one, and so,
Quick
in a less
hypothetical.
literal sense, she's connected to the Skywalkers, and so it still is the rise of Skywalker.
Quick hypothetical. What if like Kylo
Yeah,
just slaughters Rey in like the first 15 minutes of the movie?
yeah. Oh
Wouldn't that be awesome? And it's just like, fuck you,
no,
Ray. I'm pissed off. You had no character growth. Let's just kill
no.
you off in the first 10 minutes, and then Kylo can be like, oh man, I messed up, and then he saves the galaxy.
You know
Perfect
what's kind of
movie.
crazy, Tate? Like, speaking of disdain for The Last Jedi, Tom Kane was up on the Star Wars show stage for a brief interview at one point. I don't know which day,
Okay.
but he was, of course, again, the narrator from Clone Wars,
Right.
the voice of Admiral Yularen and Yoda, but he's also the new voice of Admiral Akbar now that the original actor has passed away. Yeah, and so that was him in The Last Jedi, I think, and he immediately started like on the Star Wars show stage going into his problems with The Last Jedi and how he was not fond of how Admiral Akbar got blown out the side of the ship and how this new Lady Holdo came on who nobody was invested in. Like, who is she? He's saying all of this on the Star Wars show stage, and the host
Oh, that's so good.
is like, all right.
Hey, wait.
Didn't even
Imagine if it was
Hey,
Admiral
they
Akbar.
cut it from the feed. You cannot
Are
find
you
that.
serious? Oh
It's
my
on
god,
YouTube, but
Disney
they
just
tried to cut it.
hides. Disney just hides. They're fascist, dude. They control
Oh,
the
man.
media. No, but what if like if Admiral Akbar took Holdo's position, the movie would have been infinitely better.
Yeah, man. Or anyone that we knew.
Just make Admiral Thrawn take Holdo's place. Just like, why the hell is he still around?
I don't know, but it's Thrawn. He's going to crash our ship.
Oh
It's
man.
great. Speaking of Thrawn, man, I must have seen Timothy Zahn like at least 7 times throughout the event.
Oh, that's so rad.
I passed up every opportunity to talk to him because every time we were doing something. or we were walking opposite directions, or I just flat out didn't care or didn't have enough to say to him. And I got a picture with him at Orlando, so it was fine. But he's great, and he was there cameoing throughout the whole event. The one major takeaway from Celebration is not just all the episode 9 footage and everything like that, but just, again, all the fun and all the laughs shared amongst me and Andrew and Joe and Nick and Corey and Nabil from the First Order podcast. I mean, I laughed so damn hard with Corey and Nabil one of those nights. We just were having so much fun. And those moments are what makes Celebration so special, you know? And then on top of it, being able to experience these panels and all this new footage for the future of Star Wars together is just one huge bonus. And then actually getting the chance to talk to some of the stars and some of the actors for photo ops or autographs ever so briefly is just really cool, man. I mean, every time that I would walk up to one of the cast members from the Clone Wars, whether it be Matt Lanter or James or Ashley or Dee, and just unfolding my Clone Wars poster and just in my, it's like just trying to tell them what it is and what it really means and how much history is actually in this design. It's a special time that, is really unparalleled. You don't get that at Comic-Con because it's a less diverse crowd.
Right.
A Celebration. You have nothing but hardcore Star Wars fans in this building.
Right.
And that's a good thing because that's what it is. And
that's what it's all about.
And yeah, man. And every Celebration is different. I've come to realize now that, because I was also, again, I was there for all the big moments of Orlando's Celebration. And no, there wasn't a big 40th anniversary panel where the entire cast from the saga came out, George Lucas and Hayden Christensen and McDermott together. And then, Dave Filoni in between that. And obviously when you also had Mark Hamill with Harrison Ford and Peter Mayhew and Billy Dee and Anthony, all those crazy things that happened. John Williams coming out to perform, Kathleen Kennedy obviously being there. And, then Billy Lord coming out and with giant tribute to her mother. I mean, that was a magical experience that obviously was not paralleled and there was nothing close to it here at Chicago as expected. That will never be again. So I'm saying every Celebration has its own set of wild and unforgettable memories that you go away with that makes it worth it to go to each one. And
yeah, man, I think I'm gonna have to go.
So great.
I think I'm gonna have to go next year. But wow, that was a lot about Star Wars. Now for
Dude,
our
Tait,
Marvel viewers.
But
oh
Tait,
my god,
do you know where the next Celebration is gonna be? Did you find out?
Oh no, where's it gonna be?
Anaheim.
Oh, dude, I'm literally an hour away.
Hell yeah, dude! And Andrew's only 30 minutes away.
Dude,
hell yeah!
That's awesome.
This is gonna be a thing, Tait. We're gonna meet each other in person.
Oh
in
heck yeah! Oh, that's
hell
so
yeah,
rad.
dude.
Okay, awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, if you need a place to stay, I'm planning on just staying here and then driving. So if you don't want to pay for a hotel, I know I'm kind of far, but
we'll see, man.
Yeah, man. All right. Anyway,
I appreciate it. All right.
Avengers Endgame is literally in 5 days, because the early showings on Thursday.
Okay, yeah. So the early showings are 5 days away. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
If the early showings are 4 days away, I'm gonna straight up die.
I mean, people have already seen the movie. People are spoiling it. We're not going to be spoiling it here because we haven't seen any spoilers. Don't go on Twitter right now. I just got suspended from Twitter for having made my account when I was 12. So I'm not on Twitter anyway.
You put in your birthday, didn't you?
I put in my birthday the other day, yeah.
No, now you got to process, dude.
Dude, I don't really care. I don't need Twitter. But anyway, yep. Don't use Twitter because that's where it's getting leaked right now. Probably Instagram as well.
So, Tait, I don't know if I've been spoiled or not, but I think I might have, and it was enough to where I'll be thinking about it going into the movie.
Ooh, that's not good.
I was just on Instagram. I saw the post, avoid spoilers. This was right after we saw Dave Filoni on the last day. So we're back in the hotel room, about to, so we're settling in, starting to pack up. And I'm just on Instagram. I see one photo from another smaller customizer in the community. And then one of the featured comments on the homepage, not even having clicked on the post, was so-and-so. And I'm like, oh my God.
That's so sad, dude.
Yeah, and so I mean, I don't even know if it was true. I don't know if it was a meme. I don't know if they were joking, but it was enough to where I said, again, I'll be thinking about it, and I don't appreciate it. And I know who that person was, and I will be blocking them for good if it turns out they weren't joking. But I don't know anything else. So, Tate, I think it's kind of crazy to just like pause for a moment and just really think and consider that, holy crap, dude, this is it. This is our last show before Avengers Endgame, before the end of the MCU up until this point. The conclusion of the Infinity Saga is in 5 days. The
Oh
greatest
my
comic book movie
god.
of all time that we've been waiting for since
Second
Nick Fury
second
first
greatest.
stepped out of the shadows. Oh man,
Oh yeah, no, this is gonna be insane, dude. Oh my gosh.
I'm not ready.
Now I am not a huge Marvel fan in the sense of I love every single Marvel movie. I like every movie. Well, not every movie, but I like Iron Man and Captain America and Winter Soldier and Avengers 1. But watching Infinity War last year made me made me really care about Marvel. Made me care about Marvel, which is something that I hadn't before. So I know that Endgame means a lot to everyone. You know, it means a lot to everybody. But personally, for me, I mean, I went from really kind of despising Marvel movies for being so basic and simple, but then seeing Infinity War, I mean, that changed my perspective. So, I mean, I'm excited for Endgame in the sense of I think that this will be one of the greatest comic book movies, one of the greatest action adventure movies of all time. I mean, there are a few things that I'm worried for, specifically pacing wise, but oh my gosh,
Listen, man, after Infinity War, I have no doubt that Avengers Endgame is going to be everything to be. I mean,
we're in good hands.
Infinity War Infinity War was the proof that this was going to work. That was
Yep.
part 1 of this part 2 massive crossover event spanning 2 years, and Infinity War was the first half of the package, and it was, for the most part, it delivered, man. And I will never forget the road to Infinity War, making all those figures. It's not been the same this year for Endgame, but to think that we're this close already and that it's already been almost a year, that this is happening this week,
It's nuts. It's crazy.
I
We've been waiting
don't know
for
what to
this.
think, man.
We first saw Thanos in 2012.
2012.
Are you kidding me? I mean, this is 7 years in the making.
I mean, it's like I just flash back to the very beginning, 2008, Iron Man 1, barely knew who Iron Man was. Made one of my a quick late Sharpie label custom of him. Didn't really know much about him at all. Didn't know really much about Captain America. Didn't know what the Avengers were. I mean, it's like this has been the last decade of our lives, and or at least my life. And it's like, to think that this is going to be it is weird, because it's like, you just think back to Iron Man 1 and every movie since, all 20 of them, that it has just been the greatest cinematic ride that I think anyone has and it's just been a privilege, I
I'll
think,
say almost
to
anyone
be
because I'm not
alive.
included there, but
Yeah, yeah, unfortunately.
but yeah,
But
I
it's
mean,
like,
this is crazy, and I really hope that this is a bit of a reset, and they start over and kind of reanalyze their movies in general and say, hey, let's start making a new formula, because like, you know, Wave 2 and Wave 3, they're very similar in the movies and, kind of got predictable. So,
phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3, you anti-Marvel. And they're not even calling them phases anymore. I think they said they're dropping the phases thing.
okay, cool.
um but yeah, man, it's going to be 3 hours long. It is going to be the conclusion to the story of Tony Stark, of Steve Rogers, of Thor, of so many of the major players, Thanos himself.
I hope
The
I do. I will say though, I hope that they bring Bruce Banner back into a more serious and
Yeah,
and
I don't.
more. He was a bumbling idiot in the past two movies, you know, in Thor
Yep.
Ragnarok and in Infinity War. I mean, this guy is a genius scientist who rivals Tony freaking Stark,
Yeah,
right?
all of that was lost with the last two movies.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at, I just watched Age of Ultron, which I didn't enjoy personally. I didn't like the pacing or the writing, but Bruce Banner is a freaking genius in that movie.
Even though he's forced into a forced relationship with Black Widow, he was
Oh
great.
gosh. Yeah, what about what's her name? Is it Betty Ross? Is that her name?
Yeah, Betty.
Yeah,
But it's like,
what did
dude,
she
I
do?
agree. And I was talking about this with like a few friends last night. It's like, we talked about this. Thor Ragnarok and Avengers Infinity, where Mark Ruffalo is playing Mark Ruffalo. He's no longer Bruce Banner, the super intelligent genius.
Who saw in the
Who,
first two Avengers
you know,
movies?
yeah, I mean, in Avengers 1 and 2, that was Bruce Banner. What we've had since has not been Bruce Banner. And so I do hope that, like you just said, that we get a return to form for his character, because Mark Ruffalo still is the definitive Bruce Banner. He just needs to be directed properly again.
He needs to play Bruce
Um,
Banner again. I think
yeah,
he will
I
though. I
mean,
mean, Endgame's gonna have a serious tone. Infinity War had a pretty serious tone, but I mean, Endgame is an apocalypse movie.
yeah.
It's literally the end of the world. I really hope that Cap, you know, grabs the steering wheel in this movie because in Infinity War he didn't do much at all.
I feel like Tony and Steve. We've talked about this. They need to lead, and it needs to be their film, and Thanos needs to take a bit more of a backseat, just a bit. Still
Yeah,
needs to share the screen a lot, just like he did in Infinity War, but it needs to go to Tony and Steve. This is their final film. This is their final film together.
it needs
We
to
know it's
mirror.
Chris Evans' last film.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it needs to mirror Avengers 1
yeah.
because
Yeah.
that was Tony and Steve's
What a
movie.
perfect balance of all the characters in Avengers One, man.
In Avengers 1, yeah, everybody had a distinct role. Making Hawkeye an antagonist for the first half of the movie was very excellent in my opinion because you had the duality with Natasha and Clint there. I mean, I thought that was well done.
Yeah.
That was fun. But
Jeremy
yeah,
Renner didn't exactly agree, but
what's up?
Jeremy Renner didn't exactly agree, and that's why he was given the whole family and like a ton of screen time in Age of.
Right.
Oh man,
But oh my gosh,
it,
I like to subscribe to the idea that because of the fact that Thanos is wearing his armor and all the promo material, that we're not
Mhm.
seeing the same Thanos from Infinity War. We're instead seeing the past Thanos who's going on the crusade. I really like that idea. As
you
opposed to
think
him,
that would be weird?
I kind of like that though, that they go back in time and then Thanos says, "Why are these Avengers collecting the Infinity Stones?" And then he starts fighting them past Thanos, right? Because
That
like
sounds weird and like redundant.
it sounds weird and redundant, but I mean, I would enjoy that movie
Listen, man,
personally.
that's the big thing about Avengers Endgame is like going into Infinity War. We at least had an
Had an idea
idea.
of the
Like
possibilities.
we knew. Like, listen, man, I knew Thanos was going to do the snap. What a waste it would have been if they didn't go through with that. And take the Infinity Stones to their full potential. We knew Thanos was going to come to Wakanda. We knew certain things. We knew they were going to fight on Titan. We knew certain things. And I'm by no means complaining, but I'm saying that it's just crazy that we are literally less than a week now from Avengers Endgame and the final culmination of all of this. And we don't know anything. Like, we
Anything.
have plenty of speculation, plenty of rumors, plenty of things that have been spoiled that people have been posting on their channels. But it's like from just looking at the trailers, we don't know anything beyond the quantum realm suits
But that's
and simple
perfect.
speculation,
That's
and that is
perfect.
perfect. And that's just nuts to me, though, that we're about to walk into the greatest 3-hour surprise of our lifetime. Something like this very well may never happen again. And
Dude,
I,
this is 11 years of build up. I mean, something like this won't happen again. Unless somebody's willing to make 21 movies to set up literally one movie. You know
yeah,
what I
like
mean?
when are all the pieces going to fall in place again so perfectly? That's
Who
that
has the
passionate
money
minds
besides
like
Disney?
Kevin Feige and a studio like Marvel put together a string of another decade's worth of of films interlinked together that can build up to a successful culmination like this. I mean, it is a very real chance that we may never get this again in our lifetimes. And that is crazy because it may never be the same without Iron Man, without Captain America, without Thor, without Thanos. What other characters exist in Marvel to where they'll be able to do this again? They won't, you know?
Exactly.
And DC certainly is incapable. Warner Brothers cannot do it.
No, they should.
You know?
They need to stop attempting.
And so what? So again, this very well may be it for our lifetime, and that's may sound dramatic, but it could also be a very real thought, a very real idea, and that's nuts. Because we're this is the first time we ever got to experience this. This is the first time we're the first generation that got to experience the world's first ever successful cinematic universe of interlinked together superhero films linked together that culminate to this massive, grand conclusion. And so many people will immediately, I know a bunch of people will bring up like monster movies that were together and all these other games before, but nothing compares to this. This was a revolution, this series of films.
Right, and Marvel movies are consistent. They're very consistently good. You know what I mean? Like those monster movies in the past, they were cheesy, overdone. I mean, they didn't have the backing of this.
I don't even like to acknowledge them when I start to think about cinematic universes. Like this was it. This was the first time. Like this has been such a great journey, and it's like it is incredible how masterfully executed so much of it has been along the way, with minimal amounts of hiccups and problems. You know, it's been a wild ride. And to think that we're about to go and experience the finale to, again, what has been the last 10 years for most of our lives. It's been, I don't know, it's surreal. Because, usually Tait is like, I also have a full set of figures ready to go for an event like this, but it didn't work out that way this time, and I'll be making them over this summer.
Well, because you're making the entire Arrowverse, right? Before this, you're making all like 150 characters, yes, including side characters.
I'm making every character ever that ever suggests ever. I am the all-seeing, customizing god that can just slow down time and make whoever I want.
Hey, Ross, will you please make every character, including background characters from the movie Her? Please?
Yes, perfect. But Tait, I have actually started a mini marathon for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I have the unrealistic expectation of myself of trying to put together an entire essay for this class I'm in while also watching at least 2 Marvel movies a day. It hasn't worked out already, and I'm 2 days.
Hey man, the main ones though, like the Iron Man 1 is a necessity, and I say Winter Soldier is a necessity as well as Avengers. Like for me, I'm gonna watch Iron Man, Avengers, and Winter Soldier, those 3.
Yeah,
and I think I'll.
Dude. So for me, I'm gonna try Iron Man 2, which I've already gotten through 2. I'm gonna do Thor next, then the first Avenger, then the Avengers, Iron Man 3. The Winter Soldier, Guardians 1, Age of Ultron, Civil War, and Infinity War. I'm going to try to get through all of those.
You're cutting out the fat. Man,
yeah.
You just named all of the movies that I like, besides Age of Ultron and Thor, because those are the movies that connect most to this overarching theme.
Yeah.
Whereas all the solo movies, I mean, they're very disconnected. And they're very basic.
You don't need to rewatch Ant-Man 1 to enjoy Endgame. You know?
Yeah, true.
Or Doctor Strange, or Black Panther. And so, I'll be honest, man, if there was one on this list that I would pull, it would definitely be Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like Iron Man 3. But for me, Iron Man 3 was where my channel really shifted back in 2013. When the Clone Wars was canceled, then I finally had to come up with something new. And that's when I fully made the shift and my channel became, structured around the Marvel Cinematic Universe from that day forward. with Iron Man 3. And so the build-up and my first ever big Marvel showcase was Iron Man 3. And so even if the movie is my least favorite Iron Man movie, even if it is not what I wanted it to be, and I still have tons of problems with that movie, I still almost feel like I have to watch it because of how big of an impact it had on my channel, you know?
For sure. Yeah, I get it.
And, yeah, so anyway, I mean, like you just said, I think those are all the films to watch building up to Endgame.
I still need to get my tickets.
Dude, if you didn't get your tickets, you may not be able to get in opening weekend.
I know. Whoops.
The seats are probably gone, dude. How are we going to talk about it?
Well, Shazam, I got tickets for Thursday, and we were literally the only people in the
You
theater.
had a hard on Shazam for some reason, but not Endgame.
No, I bought my tickets the day before. I bought my tickets on Wednesday. And
God.
no, I didn't. I bought them Thursday morning, and then I saw Shazam, and there were only two other people in the theater besides our group of 4. So I'm not worried. I'm not worried because the theater by my house never sells out.
Dude, Avengers Endgame different, dude.
I know, but like even when Infinity War was last year, no.
Dude, if your theater has reserved seating, you check right now.
I'm looking it up right now.
It is like way too late. Dude, in my area, the main first showing was gone within like an hour. Completely gone. Can't even access it on the site anymore. It's gone.
Oh, jeez. Oh, no. It's not even playing at the theater near my house. Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, dude. You're supposed to get the tickets, Tate.
I know. I messed up.
And what theater's by your house that's not playing Avengers? What the hell?
I know. Isn't that weird?
What is it? A little like freaking like Cinemark shitmark theater?
Kinda.
Oh my god.
It's kind of a dope little theater though, because nobody pulls up. Nobody goes there.
Dude, I hope you're able to see it, like at least opening night or opening day.
Dude, I definitely will. Don't worry. I'm willing to drive wherever.
Even if you have to sit on the far left side of a small 2D.
Oh, I don't care, dude. I've like sat on the floor at movie theater. I'm not pressed.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
But man, this is gonna be it, Tate. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think, will be feeling very empty after this weekend. Yeah. After next.
Hey, the entire theater's still open.
No way.
Yeah. Let me screenshot this and send it to you.
Where do you live?
I live in like a place that does not care. And see, I'm an hour and a half away from LA, but for some reason nobody in my town cares about movies.
What the hell?
Look at this.
Oh my god, dude! You know how hard it was for me to get tickets in the mountain areas of North Carolina. Dude. Oh!
I'm checking other places as well. 4DX? Oh, what is 4DX? God. What is that?
What did you say? RPX?
4DX.
Dude, that's like some crazy ass shit. I have no idea.
Choose a time. Oh, okay.
That's probably when you can like. That's probably when you can like smell Titan. Smell the Garden War. Avengers HQs and room.
When he crushes Tony with the moon fragments, just the entire moon falls out of the sky and rocks start pouring out at the top of the theater.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, no, Regal Cinemas 16 in Oceanside. Yep, that's the one that's near me. 10:30 on Thursday. Completely open. Cool.
Dude, I would get those tickets ASAP.
Yeah, I should probably do that.
You really should.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that right now.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
I can't believe. Look at the text I just sent you, dude. It's so funny. That's what all the theaters in my area look like.
Yeah, I saw it. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Hey, I woke up at like 8:30 the day the tickets went up, and do you know how hard it was for me to get any decent seats? I have like 5 different sets of tickets to Thursday showings, and I still have to return like half of them. I was just buying tickets to have all the options. It was bad. And you're just over here, some random spot in California, center row seats, wide open. Unreal.
And the worst case scenario, I mean, there's like 5 showtimes on that day. You know what? 3D at that theater kind of sucks. I'm going to look at normal.
God, dude, shit, I need to move out there. Unreal.
Oh, geez.
All the
Okay.
weird mountain people where I live.
This is what non 3D looks like. I'll send you this right now. But yeah, no, I mean, I guess people by me don't care about movies that much. I mean, I never have an issue, even for big
Oh
releases.
yeah, that's more like it. There you go. Yup. And, oh yeah, for anybody listening, he's texting me pictures of various screenings. First of which, the smaller of which, has center row seats wide open for 3D, and then he just sent me the 2D, much bigger theater, clearly with like 3 times as many seats almost it seems, and they're like all gone
Yeah,
almost.
that's the whole day for that day. I guess I'm gonna get 3D then. 3D at this theater's not very good, so maybe that's why it's open.
Well, listen, man, 3D I don't have a problem with. It's just I don't like how it darkens the screen.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. I don't, otherwise, 3D is like the same for me. I just don't. Again, it just darkens the screen, and that's what I don't appreciate.
For sure.
But Tate, I think that's gonna do it
That
for the
yeah.
podcast.
Oh gosh, guys. Yeah, this weekend we're gonna have a complete Endgame recap. So on the
Yeah,
27th.
if we can breathe, we will have
Yeah,
a
so long as we
massive
can breathe.
recap.
Yeah, I know I for one will be taking a notepad with me into the theater to kind of
Yeah.
jot down stuff because this movie's gonna be nuts. And Golden Light says it could make 100 million or more for opening. Dude, it's gonna make $1 billion the first weekend. I have no
It
doubt in
could
my
make
mind.
100 million. I think they're projecting like 800 million worldwide. Like first shot opening weekend,
They're
it's going to
gonna
be the
they're
numbers
gonna
are.
make $1 billion the opening
Oh,
weekend.
easy.
No contest.
Oh my god, it is the numbers Endgame will do is going to be just unreal. We thought Infinity War was big. I mean, the records Endgame is already smashing is just astounding.
Yeah, no, this is gonna be an experience for sure.
Yeah, dude. It's the end of an era.
Yes.
It is a turning point in pop culture. It's a turning point in this industry. It's a turning point in our lives. Some people may think that's being dramatic, but with how heavy of an impact it's had on so many of us, I think it's nothing short of the truth.
No, this is gonna be a massive experience. This guy's Solid Future Boy, his comment just got help for review. He says, "I hope Tony dies," and the system picked that up as a hate comment.
Oh my god. Yeah, Tony probably will die.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I hope Tony and Cap die. I do. I don't want. I mean, as much as I want Cap to go and like live in 1943.
I think they're going to go even
Peggy,
further, and
but
I think Thor is going to go too.
that wouldn't be surprising. I mean, he's
Like,
lost everything. The only thing he has left is to lose his life.
yeah, I mean, it's like really, where do you go with the character now
Yeah, exactly.
after Endgame? So many of the characters and their arcs really do finish with Thanos
Oh,
and the end of the Infinity Stones.
Before we wrap up, did you see the interview with Brie Larson and Chris Hemsworth?
This is where we're wrapping it.
Have-
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, but have you seen the interview with her and Chris Hemsworth?
No.
Okay, she says, I do all of my own stunts. And he's like, yeah, you're turning into a real Tom Cruise. And she says, no, I'm turning into a real me. And oh my god, dude, she was so rude. It was insane. Like, I don't know if this is a great idea for her to lead the MCU, dude.
We'll see if she earns it by the end of Endgame.
Yeah, I mean,
Otherwise, like we discussed, it's going to be the MCU is going to feel very empty after this, and we'll see how they are able to move forward. Because I don't know that Tom Holland or Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch and Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, and especially her, I don't know that they can shepherd the rest of the cinematic universe forward. We're about to go into Endgame, and I still don't think that that's a reality.
None of those characters have the ability to shepherd a franchise, in my opinion.
It's just their own franchises, their own trilogies, but not.
I mean, like the cinematic universe.
Yeah, there will never be another Junior Iron Man. There never should be another Iron Man after this.
No, I agree with you.
It is, yeah. It's not Batman. It's not any other role. I don't think there should be.
I bet you moving forward. You know what's funny to me though, like the tonal shift between Endgame and Far From Home, like those movies coming out back to back. But I think that Black Widow's probably gonna take a higher seat moving forward. I at least
if
hope
she
so.
lives.
Yeah, if she lives. The key to
Otherwise,
defeating
we'll know
Thanos is
for
the
sure.
Fireman and the Spider-Man sets.
Wait,
Yes,
what?
the key to defeating Thanos is the Fireman figure in the Spider-Man sets. That
Oh
is
man,
true.
yeah.
He's the new lead of the MCU.
He's got a new Infinity Stone
Oh my gosh.
in his fire extinguisher. Oh yeah, man.
Oh. Well, anyway, that'll do it. Sorry for dragging it on.
Yeah, this has been a long one, but I mean, uh, next episode is going to be even longer
Oh
and a
yeah,
lot less coherent.
yeah.
So
Don't
prepare for
expect
the
too
Endgame
much.
recap show. I'll try to have a better setup and not be on my phone for that. And we will see how it goes, man. Thank you all for joining. It's been a great talk. Sorry I haven't been checking the chat this time. I'm not good at this.
We're
This is
learning.
yeah, this has been great though. And I think that's where we should wrap, Tate.
All right, goodbye, everybody.
Take care.